Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Walt here, and this is the Blue versus Green show. I will be your QB for this episode, and I'm joined here by a very dejected and very pissed off, and rightfully so, uh, Giant fan, Gabe. Say
Yeah,
what's up, man.
very peed off Giant fan. What's up, guys?
Hey, listen, you're not the only one. I'm over here, and I can't quantify how I feel right now. Let's put it that way. So, but before we go on, please remember to subscribe, hit that notification button, and give us some likes. And also comment on our YouTube videos. We would love to hear from you guys. Let's have a conversation, especially this week in the aftermath of Jets versus Giants. I mean, should we just get into it?
Yeah,
I mean, I
yeah.
mean,
I mean,
I,
what are
I
your
don't think
impressions over?
there's.
You know what? Let me hear. I mean, you heard my rant. I mean, we saw the game live together.
We had
I
we
thought
had
that we would
quite the
have.
conversation at the end. I think
Yeah,
I
we
think we
you heard
scared
my
everybody
thoughts.
off, right?
Let's give our thoughts for the viewers to kind of partake in what we thought, and I'll try to keep my thoughts to a lower volume this time around.
I think we'll be able to handle it. Do you want to go first?
No,
Or
you go,
fine.
dude. I'm still processing. It's gonna take me
So am
like
I.
quite
So
a
am I.
while to,
Like
load.
it's a victory for the Jets, and it's now what we're recording this on a Sunday night at 8:51. So it's
Right?
been a good almost 5 hours since the game ended.
I suppose
I
so.
still I still don't know what to think about this game. I'm vacillating between hey, it's a victory against an NFL team to I literally just saw the worst game that I think I have ever seen in my entire 52 years of life on this planet to the Jets won to what happens next week to is Zach a good quarterback? Is Zach not a good quarterback? What do we I mean, I really don't know how to feel about this game, Gabe. I really don't. Help me out here because
Well,
I'm the guy
so
I'm the fan
so
of
the
the
thing
team that
is,
won, and I don't know how to feel about it right now.
so the thing is that yeah. So if you take a look at like the stats tell lies, obviously, because if you look at it, Zach Wilson had 240 yards and a touchdown. Zach Taylor had 8 yards, and that was the most yards that any QB for the Giants had today. Yet we were the ones in what seemed like control for the majority of the game because Dable decided to run the entire game all the way to basically run the clock the entire game.
What was it that you kept on telling me? The odds were at the end of the fourth quarter
At the point
99.9%.
at our very final play in regulation when we were it was fourth down and one,
Mm-hmm.
where we either go for it and then ice the game. If we get a first down, it's game over. It's 28 seconds left. Or we get the field goal with Gano, which he was 35 yards away. Very, very, very makeable field goal. The odds were, I believe, 97.9% on the Giants winning on either of those decisions. So if they went for it on fourth and one, whether they got the first down or whether they missed on it, there was still 97.9% chance of winning. And if they went for the field goal, whether they won or didn't make it, it was still 97.9% chance of winning. That's the crazy thing about it, that there was such a high chance of winning that I can understand Dable going for it. I think, maybe, I mean, going for the field goal, I think that maybe I would have gone for it. But after hearing Dable talk about why he went for it,
He's not. He's very familiar with injury.
Yeah, I'd say this. This game, I kind of figured this is the way the game would be played out. So we were going to run the ball regardless. The weather conditions, the way our defense was playing, we knew it would be kind of a fourth quarter game. So I felt comfortable with him, obviously running the offense. But again, the plan was, we were going to keep it on the ground quite a bit. Based on the weather and based on how we thought the game was going to be played out. And it played out pretty much the way we thought it was going to be played out, just came up short.
How's
I can totally understand that too. It made total sense. But as far as my thoughts on the game itself, I'm extremely upset because I thought that we were starting to kind of turn the corner, and I still feel like we had a lot of really good stuff happening. You know, our defense played even better than last week, which
They did.
better than the week before.
They did.
I thought Barkley, I got to give credit to Barkley where he played, I think, a great game considering that he's playing one of the best defenses, maybe not top 10. To me, he's the defense, the debate is apparently out. But going up against a really, really good defense and being able to still run the ball, knowing that he's going to run the ball the entire game, there was a lot to take away from that.
He ran it for 36 times.
Yeah,
You know,
I hate the fact that we not only it's one thing to have QB trouble the same way that you guys are having QB trouble. Is Zach Wilson the future? Is Daniel Jones the trouble? The future? It's a whole nother thing to have him hurt, then have Tyrod Taylor get hurt, and then have your practice squad QB come in and basically manage the game for you, manage the runs for you, and still be the team that's favored to win with 28 seconds left in the game. I don't understand how that can be the Giants, and then I don't understand how we could still lose the game. On both sides of the coin, it's the emotional roller coaster that game was in the final 2 minutes. I mean, 28 seconds left. Gano was going for the kick. I shook your hand thinking that it was game over, and it was not. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, I have a lot to say, but a lot of it's going to be negative. So.
That was a very exhausting game. You know, that was probably one of the most exhausting games that I think I've ever been a part of, seen, watched, experienced with somebody else. It was just there's a with the Jets. I'm struggling to find positive things here. I guess the positive thing is that the Jets defense did play relatively well. You know, I mean, they did give up 200 and some odd yards rushing today, you know, which is one of the weaknesses of the Jets. You know, they're not very good in the run game this year. For what Salah's, stay here, that they have had trouble dealing with very good running backs. That's been a staple of this Jets defense. But the pass, I can't even. The pass defense was incredible, but and no disrespect to your players, they were playing Tyrod Taylor and Danny DeVito, right? No, what's his name?
Tommy DeVito.
Tommy DeVito.
We probably would have had a better shot if we had Danny DeVito out there.
They were playing against Tommy DeVito, so not world busters in any sense of the imagination here. They weren't playing against the Josh Allens and the Patrick Mahomes of the NFL. The frustrating thing is that, and you've even said it yourself, the Giants were down to like their last quarterback. I mean, if DeVito got hurt, Saquon would be running the Wildcat. And the Jets found a way to make this a game that they almost lost.
A game that they should have lost. Let's not sugarcoat it. The Jets should have lost this game.
Well, but you know what?
By all means.
Look, you can say the same thing about the KC game. That they should have won that game. So, this kind of stuff happens. And you can look at KC today. KC lost to
the clearly
inferior
KC
team.
Game, though, I gotta stop you there because the difference between the KC game is that the refs stole that one from you guys. We gave you guys this one.
No, but I guess what I'm saying is that the law of averages ends up catching up to everybody. You know what I'm saying? So
it seems to not catch up to the Giants. What the hell did we do to average these numbers? -9 passing yards. Bro.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Yeah. Listen, the state of the Giants right now is really, really dire. I mean, what do you do at the quarterback position now? I mean, I don't think Jones is ready to come back next week. And
we don't.
Tyrod Taylor is staying at the hospital overnight.
Well, yeah,
So
he's got broken ribs. I would assume that he might even need surgery because the issue with broken ribs is that you can't put a cast around the body. If you
no,
have a displaced rib, you need surgery in order to place it back to put it back. If
so
it's a broken rib and
he's
not
gone
just
for
a
a while
displaced
then.
cartilage. If it's just displaced cartilage, you can kind of force it in. But if it's an actual broken rib and it's out of place, you have to open them up, put it back together, and then seal them up. I would hope that it's not that serious. I would imagine that it's probably because it was more in the sternum area, in the center. There's a lot of cartilage there, and maybe the cartilage kind of is misaligned, and it's something that he's going to have to stay overnight just for the discomfort issue that he's dealing with. It's a common thing that happens in grappling and wrestling and stuff. So I encounter that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as far as like students at my academy and all that, and training partners and past experience. Um, but yeah, I don't know what we did to deserve this. I think that what we should really do though is kind of go at it kind of phase by phase, offense, defense on both sides, special teams on both sides. And then maybe kind of figure, because I mean, how else are we going to figure out how to break down what do you analyze from this game?
I don't know. I mean, so yeah, we can go squad by squad, you know, and see if maybe that's how we do it. I guess, you know. I
mean,
this is a weird episode, man. I'm telling you.
So the thing is, all right, this is my take on it. How about I give you my take on the game? And I know that we already heard my take. I don't know if you've had like time to kind of simmer down and not combat me as much. And I'll try to not combat your points as much either. So we won't have a screaming match like we did earlier.
That was actually kind of fun, though. I don't
for you, because you won the game.
Oh, I mean, well.
Anyway,
let's go. All
right, look, I like. So here's the thing. I know that there's gonna be there's a lot that people are talking about with the fact that we got -9 passing yards, and Tommy DeVito not getting a chance to throw it. But I think this is where context comes into play. Tyrod Taylor goes out there and he didn't have a lot of anything. He had, let me just take a look real quick. He had 7 attempts, and so did DeVito for that matter. So 14 attempts, but between the two of them, it's 6 completions of over 14 attempts. So it's less than 50%. But the fact that we were struggling so much so early on with Tyrod Taylor in the rain, in the situation, it kind of confirmed for Dable what he thought it was going to be because of the weather conditions, because of where they were and all that stuff, and because of the situation on the team. There's a reason why even Tyrod Taylor wasn't really throwing the ball either. It's because they knew that this is how the game was going to play. So if Tyrod Taylor's not having any success and you're having success with the run game, when Tommy DeVito comes in to replace Tyrod Taylor, not for anything else other than the fact that he's injured, what is there for at all in the story of the game for Dable to say, you know what, I'm going to abandon my original strategy of running the ball and give DeVito a chance to throw the ball, even though we were failing with Tyrod Taylor, considering that the entire game, credit to you guys, your corners were completely shutting down any receiver options that we had, period. I mean, how often was Tyrod Taylor pressured where he had to run the ball, not because of pressure, but because he had absolutely no options and the pocket was falling apart. And he had to kind of escape out of the pocket or run, not because he was running for his life, but because he had no options. It's a little bit different than what Daniel Jones was dealing with, which is that the offensive line was collapsing a lot. In this situation, is that Tyrod Taylor had 0 options that were open, and he was like, well, if nothing is open, I need to run the ball, So that's more credit to the Jets defense than anything else. But that goes to what I think is the story of this game, which is a game of 2 coaches, and Dable coaching with the hand that he's dealt, and he's dealt a really bad hand, and Saleh coaching with the hand that he's dealt, where he has a lot. He almost has a full house, but he's missing the 1 card, which is.
I wouldn't say that, because remember they lost their center, and you can't underestimate, the communication that goes between center and quarterback. That is a very, very big thing. So
okay, that is absolutely true, but but aside from, I would say, a couple of plays, I couldn't see anything that happened after Newman came in where
Yeah, and that's a credit to him because he balled
right.
out.
So,
You know,
but then how did it affect that game that much aside from the fumble that happened?
well, here's what it is. So first of all, clearly there was issues at the very beginning, and he even said it in his post game interview. You know, there's a very symbiotic relationship that a center and a quarterback has, right? You know, they have to be in sync. This doesn't happen over a quarter. This happens over many games and stuff like that. And so, you know, to have Zach come in, you know, there's cadences, there's a lot of things that go with being a center for a quarterback, right? So to their credit, they found a way to make it work. Okay. But at the very beginning, you clearly saw that there was growing pains there. There was the fumble, there was a couple of high snaps that you saw where Zach had to pull it down, you know what I'm saying? So that affected the game that way. I think the biggest thing that I see in terms of the offense with Zach, and this is gonna sound really weird because I know I was killing him for the entirety of the game, and I still will, you know. Zach,
You're about to rub my feathers the wrong way, man.
no. Here's what it is, and I heard this, and I wish I remember who said it because I wanted to give them credit for this. Zach and the Jets, and I'm going to go specifically to the Jets management, Jets coaching, and stuff like that. Zach is put behind the 8 ball because there is only one person on that team that can catch a fucking ball, and that's Garrett Wilson. Because we saw Breece Hall drop a bunch of balls. We saw that big one where he was clearly wide open. That would have been a first down toward the end of the game, and he dropped it. You saw Lazard drop a whole bunch of balls. I think total for the game, there was like at least 5 or 6 drops. You know what I'm saying? And other things and stuff like that. So, you know, at some point you gotta Zach was putting the ball on their hands. They've got to catch the ball. And that was one of the things that I was kind of happy that Randall Cobb was inactivated for this game. He was a healthy scratch. You know what I'm saying? But it didn't manifest itself because they kept on going to the guys that even Conklin had drops, you know? So you look at it, if you catch just some of those balls, maybe we have a different outcome here. That's the first thing, you know what I'm saying? And the second thing, and this is the thing that drives me nuts about Zach Wilson, and I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Zach Wilson is one of these quarterbacks. He's the X factor. He's the only reason why I couldn't fully go behind the Jets this week, because we know what Zach could or couldn't be, right? Zach, for 58 minutes of that game, did not play well. I'll even go a step further. For 59 minutes and 36 seconds of that game, he did not play well. But in those 24 seconds, right? And I think I sent the graphic to you. He is the first quarterback in about I think it was 20 years that has thrown multiple 25-yard passes in the last 30 seconds of a game. Now think about that. Patrick Mahomes hasn't done it.
And that's great because
Allen hasn't done it.
That's
we're going
great
all the way
because
back.
again, we spoke about this though. That's what I've always said. That's the one thing that Zach's got, is that he's going to be able to throw the ball hard and long. Okay.
Great.
Pause. But that being said, how many of the 19 of 19 throws that didn't happen were drop balls or just bad throws? Yeah, he played really, really bad for the 30 games.
Yeah, and that's
I don't
what I'm
know
saying.
that 36 seconds of the game, or 28 seconds of the game, 28 seconds of good play make up for the entire game.
But it's not just that, because he did have a say in the overtime also. You know what I'm saying? Because he took that team down the field in order to get into position to get that field goal. So it extends past just those 24 seconds. But that's the maddening thing about Zach, right? Zach, you have bad Zach and you have good Zach. just like
Well,
you
let me
have
ask you
good
this.
Tiki and
Let me
bad
ask you
Tiki,
this.
right?
After this game, do you have more confidence or less
No, I
confidence?
don't. I don't. And I'm going
You
to
have
the
less
game
or
on
more?
Monday. I'm going to get on the game on Monday night. I don't know what to expect from this team on Monday. I really don't, because we're going against a Charger team. Those Chargers, they're winning right now 14-0. They can put up points. Where the hell are we going to get the points on the offensive side for the Jets? You know, like, can I trust Zach? Now, granted, your defense bowled out today. Okay, there's no question about that. Zach has, for the first half of this season, has played very, very tough defenses, but today was clearly a step back until 24 seconds left in the game. And it's so frustrating as a Jets fan to see that there is a way and a path forward to play Zach. Zach is well at throwing the deep ball. Why do we never go with? Why do we never exploit that as a coaching staff? You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like the Kansas City game was for nothing, because you had the roadmap there on how to play good Zach, and then you revert to this crap today where you're going back to bad Zach.
But again, I don't
You know?
necessarily think that that's just the coaching. I don't think that I think it's a Zach as a person kind of thing. I mean, early on, he was doing some really boneheaded throws that that Aaron Rodgers was like, what that looked like. We can't confirm or deny or whatever, but it looked like Aaron Rodgers was just like, come on, give me a break. And then we see that like late in the game, that super, super easy pass that would have been a guaranteed first down for you guys. That was it was a 10-yard throw at
Yeah,
maybe
but
less than that.
a lot of quarterbacks do that. I
Come on,
can.
man. A lot of quarterbacks do it, but like Zach does it a lot.
He hasn't done it this year, though. That's the thing. We're seeing growth from him. He hasn't had last year. He had it all the time. This year he hasn't done that. And not for nothing, those two fumbles, one of them was clearly on him. The other one maybe not so much. At the end of the day, no interceptions for him. You know what I'm saying? That there was maybe one or two that maybe you can say were interception worthy, but other than that, yeah. And that one play that you're referencing that was out to the flat too, I think it was either Michael Carter or Brees Hall. I don't remember which it was.
I think it was Michael Carter.
Yeah, it was out to the right flat for whatever. Listen, at the end of the day, this is still not the Zach from last year. This is a somewhat improved version of Zach. Now we're still not there all the way. And now I question whether we'll ever get there. You know what I'm saying? There was some improvement, but clearly this week was a step back for him. There's no doubt about
it. You could say there was a step back. I think that it was just the Giants defense. Let's talk a little bit about the Giants defense right now.
Yeah.
I think the Giants defense came to play, more than what everybody even expected out of the season. But our two big names, Sexy Dexy and Kayvon Thibodeau. Kayvon Thibodeau shutting up a lot of people. Even in this loss, he shut up a lot of people. We heard his name in the entire game, and not for the wrong reasons, not for penalties, even though he did.
Did have a massive one at the end of the game.
He had a penalty, but it didn't matter because you guys declined that penalty anyway. But outside of that, he played a near perfect game, as perfect as you could play. Lots of pressures, not giving up. There was a missed tackle on Brees Hall that he was able to get up and chase him back down and make up for it and tackle him. He played outstanding, and I hope that a lot of people in New York media can now shut up about Thibodeau. And saying that he's a bust. I don't think that he's a bust. I think that he's doing the job that he was brought here to do. Maybe starting off a little bit slow compared to last year when we expected him to come out like this last year. But he's playing assignment football. He's doing the job that he's being told to do. So you can't get mad at the man for doing what he's being asked of. But I also, Flott did an amazing job this game, breaking up a ton of passes that I think
he did have a good game.
Garrett Wilson, a lot of these amazing plays, there were good throws and there were some bad throws that Garrett Wilson was able to make look like good throws. But Flott also was able to break up some of these. I mean, some of these catches would have been really, really bad for the Giants if Flott didn't break them up. He broke up like 3 really, really good throws by Zach Wilson to Garrett Wilson. And if it wasn't for that, I think we definitely would have been a little in a lot more trouble than we were towards the end of the game. But Tate Banks also had a great game. I would have liked to see a little bit more from him in this game, but I like that we have 2 reliable corners.
Tate Banks. The stats kind of tell a different story with Tate Banks. Because
I know they do, but he came up big. The thing is, he came up big when he needed to come up big. He made a couple big plays that were meaningful.
I was looking at his stats with regard to, so he was up on Garrett Wilson. I think they said like 36 out of 39 snaps. He did give up 71 yards to Garrett. But the interesting thing is that with Tate Banks, Garrett Wilson's day today was the entirety of his entire season so far. So Tate Banks is having a fantastic season. I think he definitely is a guy that has to be considered for Defensive Player of the Year, just on his play. But Garrett Wilson did Garrett Wilson things to Tate Banks today. But that being said, that defense did play well today. I think we're over here screaming about the ineptitude of the Giants offense. It's kind of a disservice to the Giants defense, because they had something to do with that also.
I mean, yeah,
it's really tough
when it comes to like the offense. It's hard for again, like it's really, really hard for me to call it ineptitude when it's just lacking. I feel like it's less about ineptitude and more about lacking. We lost Darren Waller.
No. I'm not talking about the Giants offense. I'm talking about the Jet. It's a disservice to the Jets to say that the Jets offense was inept. It's a disservice to the Giants defense, to say that, because they did have something to do with that,
Right, but that's the thing. Like, I do think that, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that the Jets offense is inept. I really don't. I mean, one of the main reasons that you guys got so many passing yards is because you guys have such great weapons that make plays, and even against a really good defense.
Garrett Wilson.
Huh?
We have one good big offensive player there. That's Garrett Wilson.
I mean, Breece Hall had 6 receptions for 76 yards.
No. I know. But in terms of like the receiving core, there's only one guy.
Lazard made some. You were kind of harping on Lazard, but Lazard made some amazing catches too. He only had 3 catches for 45 yards, but some of those came in really key moments, especially towards the end of the game where you needed those drives, when you need those first downs. Who got them? It was Lazard that got you those first downs. You have weapons. You have multiple weapons. Yeah, they're not all going to be Garrett Wilson by comparison. Yeah, we got Garrett Wilson, but if you're telling me that that's the only one that you got, well, between Hall, Lazard, and even Azuma, you had what is it, about 130 yards and just receiving, not even rushing, just receiving.
Well, a lot of that was the chunk play by Breece Hall, that 50-yard touchdown. So you take that out. Those stats look a little bit more.
Well, you take that out and we win the game. So
No, I know.
So then it counts anyway, though.
No, that's true. But you know what? It's difficult because you have players that you can't really count on, right? Like, you can't count on Lazard. Like, Lazard had a very good game toward the end of the game. But you know what? What happens those first 3 quarters, they do matter also. Everything stacks, right? So if you're dropping balls all over the place.
Right. But again, this is where context matters. We're talking about a Giants defense that's playing really, really game all 4 quarters. All 4 quarters, they played a really, really good game. And that ball was way slipperier the first 3 quarters than the fourth quarter. I think these things matter. And so then it's either that the Giants defense was really good or that Lazard was really bad. You can't have both, right?
No, you can. Both things can be true. Both things can be true. I don't think it's an either or. You can have a Giants defense that plays very well, and you can also have a guy that drops balls. That I don't think those two you have to separate the two. I think both can be true at the same time. You know.
I suppose so. I suppose so.
So
I wouldn't say that the only weapon that you guys have is Garrett Wilson. That's all I'm saying.
it just feels that way right now because you know what, we don't have a guy that we trust like that's on the other side of Garrett Wilson. Like we tried the Randall Cobb experiment, that failed spectacularly.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
We don't have even one guy. We don't even have an Alazard.
Okay.
We don't even have that. You know what I mean?
I get it, but I'm talking strictly on the Jets side. You know
right. But that's but to go now to the Giants.
So let's
right?
go over to the Giants and stuff because I think we spent enough time with the Jets.
We're talking about Dable and the offense and how bad he did as a coach. We don't have even a Garrett Wilson or a Lazard or anybody that we could throw it to. The only person that could go up and make a big play because he is a big guy, Darren Waller, he was out also. And then on top of that, even if we have the weapons, we don't even have a guy that can throw to these weapons. It's just really hard for me to say that, like, hey, the play calling or the coaching was abysmal. Sure, the coaching may not have been great, but under these conditions, I don't know what coach, like, I can't say what coach, maybe Belichick. I don't even know. Belichick, I guarantee you, he would have just ran the ball the entire game also, knowing Belichick.
And he did do that for one game, if I remember.
That's what he does. When he, like games ago, was it 2 games ago or the last 2 games, actually, where he was like, you know what, Mac Jones, I don't trust you right now. Run the ball the entire game, right?
No, Mac Jones has been balling out the last couple of games. It was last year, I think, where he took, I can't remember which game it was, but literally, I think Mac Jones threw the ball like 4 times for the entire game, and he wasn't hurt. So, you know,
I mean, I just going back to the coaching, I just have a ton of trouble, you know, saying that it was abysmal coaching when you have to also take into context the situation.
So here's what I would say to that, Gabe, you know, and I know that you and I kind of differ on this, and I'm not 100% not with you on this, you know what I'm saying? Because I do think that there is, you have to have context in it, right? And the fact that you're down to like literally the practice squad quarterback, you know what I'm saying? That does affect things.
What do we say? What do we say was our next in line backup if what is he? Tommy DeVito goes down?
It was Saquon.
Right. If we put Saquon in there, then we literally have 0 game. What's Saquon going to do? Pass the ball to himself to run it? It's just going to be quarterback design runs for the rest of the game. I mean,
it would basically, yeah, it would basically be that San Francisco game, the playoff game last year when
Purdy and Cafferty ended up.
Yeah, exactly.
Cafferty ended to take a couple snaps.
Yeah, and so you perfect example, right? San Francisco, who is a great team, they couldn't win doing that. You know what I'm saying? So imagine the Giants, right? Which
right.
Not,
so I'm sorry, I cut into your point over Dable and the coaching.
But here's the thing that I have with Dable, and you know, you and I kind of disagree on this a little bit. You know, yes, I understand that, you know, DeVito hasn't had many snaps, if any, with the first team, right? And you know, you're literally down to your last quarterback, but you can come up with some creative things. You know, you can do a couple of screen passes, which they tried to do in overtime. You know what I'm saying? Like in overtime, all of a sudden, the run game was like, okay, we're not going to do that anymore. Let's actually try and throw the ball. You know, you could have done something a little different. It didn't have to be 10 straight, you know, snaps to the running back. You know, you could have done, there are safe, quote unquote, safe passing options that you have. And at the very least, even if they don't work, it kind of frees up that defense to say, you know what, there's still a possibility that, you know, this guy's going to throw it. So but basically what you did was you let the defense key in on Saquon for the better part of the last quarter. I that's the problem that I have, is that you put Saquon in an impossible position to succeed, because they're literally, even the guys on TV were saying it. Oh, they're going to pass it off to Saquon. If
Right.
those guys are saying it, then
And
what do
I
you think the
understand that.
defense is saying? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
Right. But here's the
even
thing
if-
that I ask you.
even
Here's
if-
the thing that I ask you. What was the necessity of it? If the necessity, if the
Well, clearly
necessity
there was a
outweighs,
necessity at the end of the game. You
hold on,
never
hold
know
on,
what's going to happen, right?
hold on. If the necessity outweighs the risk, you take the risk. If the risk outweighs the necessity, then you don't take it. And that's the way that I looked at it. You get a quarterback in there doing some pass plays against, a defense that's hungry, that's losing, that is one of the best defenses, that causes a ton of turnovers. Okay. And you put the ball at risk of being turned over with really good position at a lot of time versus running the clock and running the ball and protecting the ball because you have a lead. Which one is the better route?
But
You don't have faith in any of your receivers because they haven't given you any reason to have faith in them. And you don't have faith in your quarterback because this is his literally first pro game ever. Okay?
But Gabe, let me
You
ask
don't
you
even
this
have
question.
previous pro football footage on DeVito to say that, like, okay, what he did in the preseason he can do on the field in a professional game.
Let me ask you this
game.
question though. If you're constantly, and I get that, but let me put it to you in another way. Okay. If you're constantly taking the ball and just trying to run the ball, you're doing 3 and outs, right? Eventually you're flipping the field the wrong way.
Yeah.
So you're now, what you're doing by playing it safe, right, is essentially you're playing the field position game to the negative for your team, because now it's 3 and outs. Now the Jets are getting a shorter field. Do you do it again? It's a shorter field. You're enabling in a sense. Yes, I understand that you're trying to minimize the risks here of an interception and stuff like that, but you're putting the other team in better positions to score.
Let me ask you, before I answer that question, and I'm going to answer that question, answer me this. What is the most reliable part of the Jets team after today? Or not even today, during today, before today?
It's the defense.
Okay.
And
So
special
to
teams.
answer that,
was great.
yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do because I'm trusting my defense more than anything else on this team.
You're talking about the Giants?
The Giants defense, yes. I'm going to, it'll end up being 3 now. If we get lucky and we break through against this amazing defense and able to keep getting first downs, which we did a couple times. It wasn't back-to-back 3 and outs, okay? But if the run gives me time off of the clock while keeping the lead, and it allows me to protect the ball so then the defense can do the job that they've been doing all game, then I'm going to keep playing that. It's been working the entire game, and it's the only thing that I trust. That's exactly what I would do. Maybe I would play around with some passes here and there, but I can also understand not doing that. That's what I'm trying to say. I can understand it both ways, but I don't call it bad coaching because ultimately it did put us in position to win the game. That strategy put us in position to ice the game.
It put you in a position to not lose the game. There's a very big difference to that. You know what I'm saying?
No, because we were in position to win the game. Let me ask you a question. If we had gotten that field goal, would we have won the game?
We don't know. We'll never know. Because listen, because you can't play that game, because you know what? Then that necessitates a different type of offensive strategy on the Jets' part. So maybe they don't go down the field in the middle of the field. Maybe they start going toward the side to make sure that you can't play that game. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't work that way.
Okay. So then let me rephrase the question. Okay, does it give us a better chance of winning the game?
Okay. So
I mean, you got to answer a question at one point.
No. It does, but in retrospect, I hate when teams play conservatively. I hate when teams play not to lose a game. I always this is my philosophy. Okay. I always think you're always trying to win the game. You're being proactive to try and win the game. And we've seen it too many times in the NFL. At least I have, for as long as I've been watching and playing it. you've seen it too many times when teams are trying to not lose games. That's exactly what happens. It happens too many times. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think that that's true. I mean, like, because the thing is, this isn't a strategy that's new. This is a strategy that's
And it
done.
always fails. It always
It's not
fails.
true that it always
When you
fails. The Chiefs are one. The Chiefs are the kings of like score. We got a lead. All right, run it, and then just keep running it until we get something.
You can't equate the Chiefs to the Giants.
I know that I can't equate the Chiefs to the Giants
because there's a very different dynamic.
But you said teams. You didn't say Giants. You said teams. You hate when the teams are just trying to not lose the game. Okay. This is that, right? So if some teams can do it, why can't the Giants do that too?
Because the Giants aren't as skilled, as talented as some of the teams that you mentioned. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So why should I trust that with such a small margin, 3 points, that I can take risks?
Let me ask you a question then. Do you wish that they had tried to win the game as opposed to just, running the ball out?
No.
In retrospect.
Yeah, in retrospect, no. No, absolutely not.
Okay, I guess we'll agree to
because
disagree.
I would have done the same thing. For example, and I'm going to bring this to my personal life. I run a jiu-jitsu academy for some of you guys that don't know. I also, coach Muay Thai, striking, MMA fights and stuff. When I have to coach students that are competing, I'm always going to coach based on what I trust that they can do. And we have a pretty high success rate. And that comes from not from all of them being superstars, but from the ones that I know that can't do certain moves. I'll tell them to hey, I want you to just kind of do this, do that. I'm not going to tell you to make this high flying move or go for submission or take the back. If I know that there's a minute and a half left, and I know that all you got to do is kind of protect yourself and not get swept or not get scored on points wise, I will do that not because that's how I want to win, but because I need to coach the win if that's how I think that you're going to win based on the skills that I see and the proof that you've given me, not just in the past in the training room, but in the past performances. There are students that I'm going to coach to run up the score, then get the submission, get the highlight reel. Okay, but then there's other students I'm going to say, hey, once you get to this position, as much as that armbar is there, okay, let's not take the
lie
risk.
Down on the guy.
Lie down on top of the guy. Get the win. Okay.
I understand that, but I still feel that that's kind of a different thing because you know what? Tommy DeVito is an NFL quarterback. At some point, he knows how to throw a ball.
Yeah,
so, and let me ask you this, because I'm gonna throw something back at you, because this is something that you said. 4th and 1, and they ended up kicking the field goal, right? Did you not say that you wanted them to go for it on 4th and 1 to end the game?
I would have gone for it.
Win. That's playing to win.
Yeah, I would have gone for it. I would have gone for it.
That's playing to win.
Right
there. That's an example of playing to win.
Okay, but Dable, who has balls, who is the king of going 4th and 1, going 4th and 1 early in the game, middle of the game, almost at any point, that was Dable's thing that I think he brought to the NFL. And all of a sudden, everybody else wants to go 4th and 1 in the first drive of the game and stuff. That was Dable's thing. Dable's the king of taking risks like that.
So why do you think
they didn't take the risk? It's not because he wasn't trying to win the game. It's because the team has not given him a reason to believe that. We've gone 4th and 1 how many times this season and failed on 4th and 1.
Barkley there. Saquon Barkley, what did he run for?
We've lost 4th and 1s with Saquon Barkley.
But wouldn't you want to put the ball in your superstar's hand? Isn't that the reason why he's there?
Sure, but so if
1 yard.
Okay, but you have Saquon Barkley
and you have Gano. You wanted them to go for it.
Walt, I know I said that, but I was okay with the field goal also. Because Gano is supposed to be the most, if I'm not mistaken, before this season, before today, Gano was the most reliable kicker in the entire NFL. The entire NFL. Last season, end of last season, for whatever happened with the Giants at the end of the season, Gano was the one thing that was a sure thing in the entire NFL. Okay, so you have a sure thing 35 yards away, and then you have Saquon Barkley, which is the best player you have on the offense. So it's almost like a coin toss. Either way, it's supposed to be a sure thing. Can Saquon Barkley get a yard? Yeah, 99% of the time he can. Can Gano make that field goal? 99% of the time he can. Either way, it would have been good. If Barkley doesn't make that 1 yard, you guys got the same field position. If we make the field goal, okay, or we miss the field goal, it's almost the same exact thing. The Jets are still coming from that same position. So it's almost like there was really no chance for us to really lose the game, with the exception of missing the field goal and then reacting to that poorly.
I don't know, man. Well, I guess we'll agree to disagree on this one, because I think if you have a superstar running back and you can't ask him to get 1 yard, then why do you have him here in the first place?
Then what do you have a superstar kicker for then?
But
he is a superstar kicker.
Okay, but the difference is you're talking about a game that's being played in bad elements. You're talking about a game that's being played in a driving rain. You know what I'm saying? It is easier, in my opinion, to get the 1 yard on the ground than to have a kick that requires a catch by your placeholder. He's got to be able to make sure that he handles the ball, a wet ball that's coming to him. Put it down on the right hash. You gotta. There are so many other things that can go wrong in a kick than a 1 yard run, and that's
why I what you just did, Walt. You just justified why he did not let DeVito throw the ball.
But no, that's still totally different, bro. That's
how can you say? Well, how can you say
Zach Wilson was throwing the ball?
Yeah, I know, but Zach Wilson actually has pro NFL experience, 3 years of it now.
Okay, but
DeVito is in a rookie year that he's never played before, and his first game is going to be with not understanding and not having good receivers and in the rain. So if we can't use that argument for DeVito, we should absolutely not use that argument for the best kicker in the game.
All right. Like I said, I'm just gonna table this, and we're just gonna have to agree to disagree.
I need to understand how the argument works for one but doesn't for the other.
Here's what it is: there are plenty of rookie quarterbacks that enter a game and they don't sit there and hand off the ball for the entirety of the game, irregardless of whether they've had experience or not. At some point,
I'm talking about the
coordinator. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. At some point, the coordinator will dial up a pass for him. It's you cannot tell me that just because he's a rookie.
That's not the argument I'm making. I'm talking about your argument of saying that, like, under these conditions, you don't kick it. So then why do you throw it under those same conditions?
Because you're not. And again, with DeVito, I'm not asking you to throw a 30-yard post pattern. I'm asking you to throw a 1 yard pass to your running back in the flat. That, to me, there's no equivalence to that and trying to make a 30-yard field goal. You're asking him to throw 1 yard just to loosen up the defense. That's what I'm trying to say. I understand. I understand your trepidation when it comes to the fact that he's a rookie and he's being placed in, and there's a lot of pressure. But you know what? This happens all the time in the NFL, and you don't see the coach says, well, you know what? Because he's a rookie, I'm just going to give the ball to my running back 30 times for the rest of the game. It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. And that's the problem. I'm not asking you to make him feel like all of a sudden he has to be John Elway and throw the ball 80 yards down the field. I'm just saying, you know what? Loosen up that defense by throwing a 1 yard out. By doing those type of things to enable Saquon some space to run the ball so you can win the game. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, we can move on from here. I'll just say that, like, I would understand that if the strategy that he did employ didn't put us in a position to win the game.
All right, like I said, we're gonna agree to disagree on that, and that's fine. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You have your opinion, I have mine, so that's cool. Let's talk about, what are we going to talk about now? I'm a little annoyed. I'm a little annoyed at the way my team reacted, and specifically two people. I'm a little annoyed at how my team reacted after the game. You know what I'm saying? Like I was watching. This is a game where the Jets should have just gone into the locker room, closed the doors, and gone straight home. I didn't want to hear from them. I didn't need to I didn't need sound bites from them. But instead, what did we get? We get Saleh talking about Woody Johnson, talking about how, oh, it's great to be the king of New York, which I can't understand how you can make that statement after the shit show that we saw for how many minutes was that? That was 60 plus minutes of absolute garbage on the field, right?
The worst
You
game
don't
I've ever seen in
say
my
that.
life.
You don't say that. And then on top of that, I don't like the fact that Zach Wilson comes out and talks about after playing the type of game that he did. And again, maybe some of it was his fault, maybe some of it wasn't. But for him to come out and say, you know what, 24 seconds, no problem. I was confident we were going to win that game. And I appreciate the belief in your teammates, but the cockiness and the arrogance to say that after the game that they just had, I can't. And again, that was just two players. The other players were mad, rightfully so, talking about how, you know what, we played lousy, we played like garbage. There's clearly a lot of things they need to fix before Monday night. But for the two leaders of that team to come out and do that after that game, I'm sorry. I really have a problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, that there was a quote unquote rivalry going on, but that rivalry was going on mainly between the fans. It seemed like there wasn't really a rivalry between the teams. But Zach Wilson, he's public enemy number one in the Giants' eyes now, in my opinion. I mean, that guy like shit all over us, like as if he's like something to look at. I think it points more to actually what I think is the biggest problem with Zach, and that the problem is that he's ignorant. I think that he has a lot of ignorance. This is one of the reasons why he made that stupid comment last year of like, oh yeah, you don't take any blame. That came out of ignorance, and it shows that he still has ignorance. You don't even have to say anything, bad about anything. You could just say like, all you had to say was like, I'm just glad we won the game. When the Bills won that game against us, even though they know they should have lost it, what did Josh Allen do? When he was asked, he was like, it was ugly, and you know what? I'm just glad that we came away with the win. He knew that there was nothing else that he could have done. He was just like, you know what? I'm just glad that we won.
Listen, I can even
Zach, by the way, way that he did it with this smug smirk and laugh.
Exactly. Because I can deal with him coming up to the podium and say, you know what? When we went into that huddle, we had a feeling like we could win this game. Like we had a feeling that we were going to go down the field. That's fine, right? Because you want your quarterback to feel that way, right? It's exactly what you said. The smugness of 24 seconds, no problem. That's the thing that I have an issue with Zach. You know what I'm saying? So it's very hard. But then you hear the comments by the other players. You had Morstead, who was very, very emotional after the game, because he goes and he said, you know what, this team really cares about themselves. This team, more so than any team that I've ever been a part of, they are like a family. And that's why I love this iteration of the Jets, because every player except for Zach, every player has that feeling of family. You know what I'm saying? Like they always have each other's back, and I love that. The other thing, one more
what's
thing.
Interesting is I feel like that is a point. Like I can feel that, but I almost feel like the whole team agrees with that. Not with just the exception of Zach, but I do think that maybe Saleh's a little bit in that camp too. Like I feel that about everyone else, but Zach and Saleh, they can have their own corner.
Here's the other thing, and I'm gonna reference my wife here, because we were watching the press conference with Robert Saleh, and she made a comment, and I totally agree with what she says. Robert Saleh, enough with the love show with Zach Wilson,
dude.
Zach, he went out there and he said, I liked what Zach Wilson did today. Are you serious? She said, was he watching the same game that we were watching? Because at some point, Robert Saleh, you can literally say what everybody is seeing, we did not play well today. Zach Wilson did not play well today. I don't understand the love affair that he has with Zach Wilson, where he cannot say one single negative thing about his play when everybody in the world, when everybody in the world is seeing it. And she was super frustrated today because she was like, you know what? At some point, why can't Salah just say it for what it is? Zach Wilson did not play well today, and we need to fix it. Instead,
You want to know what he saw
Zach
that he didn't
Wilson
like?
did
He didn't
great
see any
today.
interceptions. That's all.
I'm tired of hearing Salah say, you know what? Well, you don't see the things that we see in practice. You don't see the things that we see in the locker room. You know what? You're right. But we see the stuff that he does on the field, and you're not calling him out for that.
Yeah.
Any other player,
I'm super over Zach. I'm
you
super
would
over
call him out
Salah.
on that.
I mean, I know I'm not a
don't
big fan, but I'm
understand.
over both those guys, to be honest with you, man. Like I
It's
don't
so
necessarily
frustrating.
I don't like Salah's body language whenever there's on offense. Salah does not look comfortable anytime the camera goes to him. Early on in the game, there were some it looked like some really terrible, like just some really bad offensive play in the beginning of the game or early on in the game, and I could see like Aaron Rodgers. I had pointed it out. Aaron Rodgers kind of like, walked away, like talking to Salah, almost like dismissive of Salah, and Salah just kind of staring off, not even acknowledging Aaron Rodgers. And to me, that just looked like, Aaron Rodgers was trying to school him, and Salah is just kind of like taking it.
Yeah, but you know what?
I don't know.
If that's the case, then Aaron Rodgers is misdirecting that, because if that's the case, he should be directing that fire to Hackett, who was on the field also. Hackett's the one that's calling.
Yeah, he was.
So you know what?
That's
go talk to Hackett. Don't go talk
Yeah,
to Salah
that's true.
about that. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, unless Salah's getting in the way, maybe that's what's happening. We don't know what's happening. But there's got to be a reason why Aaron Rodgers was doing that.
I don't know. But it's just there are things that even in this win are super frustrating about the Jets. It really, really is. So listen, it is what it is. I guess as a Jet fan, you say a win is a win, but for whatever reason, I walk away from this game with a bad taste in my mouth, and I look at and let's talk about next week, because that's going to impact what we're talking about here. Next week, the Giants are at the Raiders on Sunday. That's a game that I need to know your quarterback situation before I can say anything about this game.
Well, here's the thing, right? So, like, we don't have Terrell Taylor. He's out for the season for sure. If he's got a broken rib,
most likely.
it's already been confirmed, right? If he's got a broken rib, it's going to be 2 months for him to recover from a broken rib. And it'll be at least a month before he can actually even get on the field, because he needs to ramp up before he can get on any field after any kind of fracture. So he's done. Daniel Jones, it was rumored that he might come back for the Raiders game. I don't know why you would. If we lost this game with the Jets, why would you why would you try to win? Why not try to win, but why would you come and play, or rather come and play? Why would you put Daniel Jones in there to play when there's nothing to play for, and you're risking even more injury, serious injury to Daniel Jones? There's just really no point. Not just to him, but to Barkley. Like, how do any of the players like play for this team in this season? It's not. I know that they all. I think that they all trust Dable. I think that they all know what their abilities are, and I think that I don't think that the locker room is lost in any way. I just think that they're just not clicking the way they expected it to. But aside from that, I don't know how you get motivation to play this season.
Yeah, but you can't. So the motivation to play the season is because you know what? There are 31 other teams looking at your team, looking at your players. There are
Saquon Barkley doesn't want to go anywhere.
Huh?
Saquon Barkley doesn't want to go anywhere, right? And he's the only tradable asset that we got.
Right, but I'm talking about other players, because clearly there's going to be players here that are not going to be here next year. So that's the
Maybe, yeah,
motivation right
no,
there.
that
You know
I
what I'm saying?
understand. I understand that, but I
So
guess I'm talking about like the key pieces. You know, the people like Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones, who have been shown to be injury prone. How do you put your body on the line when there isn't that
but how do you
great of a chance at the season? You know, like, and I'm just saying this facetiously because, you know, obviously they're going to play. As a
yeah,
fan, I don't want to see them play. I
I
don't
know,
want
I
to see
agree.
Daniel Jones play and then get hurt in a game that's meaningless. You know, I
I
don't want to see
agree.
them bring him back early just because we now don't have another quarterback. We're gonna like what every single week we're hiring people off of other teams' practice squads to replace injuries. This week we got to hire somebody off of somebody else's practice squad to
I don't
replace the
think you
roster.
have the money to do it. I think right now I was excuse me. I was looking at this. You have less than $1 million in salary cap. You have to
Right, but
move
that's why we hire
somebody.
them off of. That's why you hire them off of the practice squad. They'll get
No, I
like that
know,
40.
but
They
if you're
get that
gonna
minimum.
but if you're gonna elevate them to the active squad, they got to get signed. So you're at the point where you need to get rid of people in order to sign people for what you need, and you have a lot of pieces that you need to bring in for. You need offensive line help. Now you need tight end help because you only have one active tight end on the roster. Now you got to worry about quarterbacks. There's
Yeah,
a
we didn't
lot
even
of
talk about
things.
the fact that we got to replace Waller now.
Yeah, Waller with the hamstring again. That was the fear with Waller. Waller is a talent, but Waller is fragile, and we're seeing that here. You know, I so let me ask you this question before we move on to the Jet game. Do you think that with the Tuesday deadline for the trading deadline, do you think the Giants become sellers now? Do you think they start selling off?
God, it's
Because
so hard,
because
right?
here's the thing.
It's so
If you
hard
start
to.
selling off pieces, then just by extension, you're kind of setting yourself up for a losing season, which at the end of the year could translate into a higher draft pick, right?
Right. I
And
mean,
you're
at
you're
this
doing
point,
it in a way where you're not alienating your current players by saying, well, we're not going to play him, and we're not going to play him, and
I
we're not
mean,
going
it
to play
sucks,
him.
man,
You know what
because
I mean?
like I don't want to be this guy. I don't want to be this guy that says, you know, you know, blow it all up and sell them and stuff like that. But there's a chance that we may not ever have another shot, right? So we have some assets that we can sell, right? And we're in a potential position to get a generational talent in the offseason and draft. But that means giving up on every single thing that we did this year that you know, um, seemed to be good for us. I mean, like, and then on top of that, we have like these guys. It just sucks because these guys don't want to go anywhere. They don't. Like first of all, who's going to take Daniel Jones? We would have to get rid of if we're getting
Oh,
rid
you
of
can't get
anybody,
rid
we
of
would have to
Daniel
get rid of
Jones.
the whole team.
You can't get rid of Daniel Jones. Just the fact that he's injured, but the fact that he has that contract, Daniel Jones is here until you can cut him. That's just the reality
Yeah,
of it.
I mean,
You know what I'm saying?
unless you eat the contract, unless you eat like 40% of the contract, and then just take Caleb or draft and you play whoever you draft. You can eat part of the contract but then that's the thing. That's why I said that you got to get rid of everybody. If you're gonna get rid of someone, you got to get rid of everyone because you're gonna have to eat Daniel Jones's contract. And then
You wouldn't
you're
want
gonna
to
have to
keep
make
Daniel
up for that.
Jones.
You're gonna have to make up for that all in draft capital and basically rebuild the team. So essentially, Joe Shane has 48 hours to decide if he's rebuilding the team or not.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy. That is
And
that
and
is
it's
insane, bro.
only week 7.
That is insane to start
Yeah.
thinking about that after last year. That is just insanity. Let me
Well, so
ask you a
that's what I'm
question
saying.
though.
But that's what I'm saying. So like if either you sell off completely or you don't sell at all because you either have to trust on the moves that you made. I think, obviously keeping like with Kayvon Thibodeau like starting to show out. We have good corners, defense is putting it together. Andrew Thomas being on there. You think that you have your quarterback as long as you can protect them and Daniel Jones. and Saquon Barkley is back and he's starting to work. If you can just put it together with some of your receiving options, which is still this is our biggest issue last year was receiving, right? We thought that we
Still
solved
is.
that problem. We obviously did not.
No.
But
I kept
that
on
still
telling
seems to be
you.
the biggest issue, right? So
I kept on telling you, you guys didn't have a wide receiver one, and it's coming back
right,
to
no,
bite
and I
you.
think
You know what I'm
and I
saying?
knew that we didn't. I knew that we didn't, but I
It was
didn't think
supposed to
that it
be
would be
Darren Waller.
bad.
It was supposed to be Darren Waller. He was supposed to kind of supplant that wide
He
receiver
was
one
no.
in the
See, the
tight
thing is,
end role. In the tight
Darren
end role.
Waller. I think that the way they looked at it is the same way that I looked at it. It's like, okay, Darren Waller comes in there to give us a bit of a threat, but we still didn't have a wide receiver one, and that was okay because we had Daniel Jones' legs and Saquon Barkley's legs too. It just turned out that both of those legs were dead as well. So,
So here's the thing: you wouldn't keep Daniel Jones, because you have him kind of locked in for at least the next year. So this is my feeling. I think, out of all the pieces, you keep Daniel Jones because you let him play next year. You still draft a quarterback, but you let him sit for that year to learn under Daniel Jones, and then at the end of the year, the contract is built so that you can easily cut him without
right.
a big hit to the salary cap.
Right, but that's why I say that you don't get rid of anybody, because whoever you're building for Daniel Jones, then that's also who you're building for the next quarterback.
I would if there's a market for Barkley, I hate to say it, I would get rid of him because I'm
we
pretty
have
sure.
nothing because we don't have a running back too.
Yeah, but you said the running backs are easy to get in the draft, right? So get one in the draft.
Listen, Saquon
You know
Barkley is on a franchise tag and he doesn't want to leave. Think
But
about that.
I understand that, but you know what? He'll go. He doesn't have much of a choice in the matter. You know what I'm saying? If he's traded,
but I mean,
he's traded.
The way that I look at it is we're gonna draft high anyway. We don't need to get rid of Saquon Barkley to get draft capital.
No, you actually do, because you only got 6 picks next year. 6 picks is bad.
Yes,
you need to trade.
I understand that.
You need to trade people to get some draft capital.
The thing is, I still have faith in a lot of the pieces. I do think that we have a lot of good pieces. We're not putting all the pieces together, but I don't think that the pieces, are bad. And that's where I stand. Like, we're gonna trade just to replace the same pieces that we got. I don't think so. It'd be a different thing if you need to rebuild. Like, that's the thing. You got to make the decision whether you're rebuilding or not. I don't think the team needs to rebuild. That's ultimately what it is. I think that we need to look at this as the middle of a rebuild and not a need to rebuild. Because I think that if we gel a little bit better and we get some help at the receiving core, and we freaking protect Daniel Jones or whoever our quarterback is, whoever it is, if we can just get a little bit more QB protection, then I think that we have everything that we need. And it's a matter of, like, maybe it is the coaching then. Because if you have all the pieces,
capital is going to help, because it's going to enable you to get a bunch of bodies in there for depth. Because again, what was one of the things that we talked about with the Giants? The depth was going to be an issue, and here it is. We're talking about depth issues with the Giants. So getting that draft capital, A, gets you that depth that you need, but B, it also gives you the flexibility that if you see that there's that great tackle that you can get and you can move up in the draft, you have the means to do it. And the Giants right now, I think they're pretty good with the defense. I think you can add a couple of parts here. That offense needs a lot.
Here's the thing, though. Okay, if we go into rebuild, here's the thing, though. If we trade Barkley, then we're definitely absolutely going into rebuild, because we're trading for draft capital so that we can rebuild, essentially. And if you're doing that, then that means that you're going to need to get a new quarterback, which means that new QB needs to kind of build up this rebuilding team, which isn't going to be built until year 3, really, of any quarterback.
Right.
Is the defense that we have now going to be there 4 years from now?
But the Giants, I don't look at the Giants as a team that's a player away. They're
I don't.
multiple players away. So you're still looking at year 3 or 4 before they're good anyway.
See, that's where I disagree. That's where I
You know?
disagree because I think that we are a handful of players away for sure. We're just a handful of players away, but we what we're missing is just the cohesion, right? So like when our 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 offense, when our offense is really bad, our defense, in the beginning of the season, everything was bad. Offense, defense, special teams. Okay. Defense
True.
finally got their shit together. Offense is starting to get their shit together, but we're missing the key points that we needed, right? That they're coming back. Like, what would the game today have been look like potentially? Okay. If you have Daniel Jones with Saquon Barkley running, and the defense playing the way that they were, I think that you would have a much different game because now you got to worry about Daniel Jones's running, his ability to throw to some of the receivers that he likes to throw, to Slayton, to Waller, even though he did get hurt. I think that you would have had a much different game, being able to have Daniel Jones as a better threat. And I think that, especially with the O-line, the way that it's been playing the last 2 weeks, I don't think that they were great, but they've been much, much, much better than those, like two different O-lines since Pugh came in. Just absolutely two different O-lines. I think Daniel Jones makes better
provided
plays.
some stability there. He has provided some stability.
Yeah, and it's not just like by happenstance. It's 2 weeks in a row that we've had more than 2 weeks now, right?
Yeah, I think so.
This is the third game, yeah?
I think so.
Yeah, so ever since he came in, he's provided that stability that we needed, or two. We got JMS back as well. All we need is Andrew Thomas back too. I think that it's at this point that we would be good if Daniel Jones was able to get back and all that stuff. It's just that it doesn't matter now because we've lost so much. So again, my thing is not so much that we definitely need players, but I don't think that we need to rebuild. I just think this is a case of, wrong time, wrong place. But anyway, we're getting a little bit long in the tooth on that one. The Jets have who do you guys got?
Get over to the Jets. We got the Chargers, man. Monday night. So
yeah, that's right.
I'm actually looking forward to going to that game just because I've never been to a MetLife game at night. So this is going to be my first night game over there, and I do like the way the Jets have the bracelets that are kind of synced to the control board in the stadium, so they can kind of like light it up. The thing that I worry about, and here again we're talking about a week 8 matchup. Last year with the Jets, what happened in week 8? They lost AVT and they lost Breece Hall. This week, what happened with the Jets? They lose Conor McGregor. They lose
Conor McGovern.
I always do that with that guy, right? Listen, at this point, I would welcome Conor McGregor over there because he could probably knock out Dexter Lawrence and give Zach Wilson some peace, right? But you have Conor McGovern that was injured. Then you had Schweitzer, who was injured. Al Woods suffered the Achilles tendon. So that's now 3 Achilles tendon injuries that the Jets have suffered this year alone. You know what I'm saying? Week 8 is not good for that 8th game of the season is not good for, the 7th game. I'm sorry. It's not good for the Jets because it seems like that's where all the injuries happen for this team. I generally don't know what team we're going to get on Monday night. I know this is a team that's going to play good defense, maybe not great defense, right? And that's something that we have to think about here. They have been playing better. I'm not ready to call them a great defense when this is a defense that gives up 350 yards a game. That is not
context. Yes, they have been, but we're talking about the teams that you guys have been playing. Look what you guys did today when it's a bad team.
I understand that. And yes, look what they did against a bad team. They allowed them to run for almost 220 yards on the ground today. You know what I'm saying? That is the team. That is a great defense doesn't do that. So I think
uh,
that the Jets are a very good defense right now.
They
I
can when the offense that you're playing against only passes 14 times in the whole game.
yeah, but this is not an isolated incident for the Jets. They have problems with big time running backs.
Yeah,
That is
I guess so. Yeah.
that's just the fact of the matter with the Jets. So I'm not ready to anoint them like DJ Reed did as the 85 Bears. I think they're a very good defense that is on the rise. And today was a step forward because you know what? They didn't have a slow start like they did in previous games. So I think the defense is getting better with every game, but I'm not ready to call them a great defense yet.
I
I'm
think
ready to say
that's so
I
crazy.
think they're a very, very good defense that is trending toward a great defense, but they're not there yet. There are clearly things that they need to work on before you can put that label on them. So
Yeah.
I know that the Chargers are going to have their hands full because again, the Chargers are a high-powered offense with Justin Herbert there, and that plays to the strength of the Jets, right? Whenever there's a very good quarterback, the Jets rise to that level with Sauce Gardner, with DJ Reed, with Michael Carter and the slot. You know, they're very good at, you know, defending the pass. It's the run defense that is still kind of sketchy with them. So I know we're going to get great defense. I know we're going to get great special teams play from the Jets. I don't know what the hell we're going to get with the offense. And that's the problem with this team. They're so Jekyll and Hyde with this. I can't tell you for certain what's going to happen on Monday because I don't know. And to me, there's a part of it that thinks that the Jets organization doesn't know what they're going to get on Monday from that offense. So that's a problem, you know what I'm saying? So I would tend to think that the Chargers would probably be the underdogs in this game based on the fact that the Jets defense is a very good defense, but that offense, they are truly the wild card for this team as they have been for the last 2 years. I don't know I can't tell you if the Jets win this outright or if they struggle and it's another 20-19 type game where, you know, half of MetLife Stadium is taking, you know, heart blockers because all of them are having heart attacks on what's going on with this game here. You know
I
what I mean?
almost had a heart attack myself today. So
It's amazing. I can't. I don't know how to grade the Jets going forward.
well, we'll see. I mean, it's funny that week 8 and we still don't know who the Jets are. I think that the defense is still gonna play great. I think the defense is top 10. I think a lot of and this is on record. There's a lot of organizations that could that consider the Jets top 5. You know, some even top 3. But I think that the defense is still going to play really great. I think special teams is going to put you guys in positions to play great as well. Part of why the defense plays so well is because of Morstead and his kicking ability and just pinning your opponents and forcing them to have to play in a way that's a little bit more favorable to your defense. And yeah, I think it's just every single week is a wild card with Zach. You know, Zach is wild, so we have no idea what game is going to show up. So, good luck to you guys. I hope you guys lay an egg. I wish you laid it today, but unfortunately, it was us that we laid the bigger egg today. So,
yeah. Like I said, I'm gonna go to MetLife on Monday, and we'll see how that goes.
So then
Funny
week
thing.
we're probably going to have a little bit of a delayed cast because if you're going to the game on Monday,
Right.
we're not going to be recording until the day after. So maybe have a little bit of a delayed cast on that one, but it doesn't matter since the Giants suck and our season is over. So
do you really? Well,
yes, I think the season's absolutely over. Even if
your
we win
quarterback
games, you know, we
if
would
your
have to
quarterback
wait.
situation was different, I'd say you might still have a chance. But yeah, you're kind of right.
Yeah,
As of right now, let's see where the Giants are in terms of playoff positioning, which is probably not going to be good. But We can check, right?
I mean, I don't know how we are not the worst team in the league after today.
Standing wise, in terms of the playoffs,
I think we still even have a shot at the wild card, but
you are,
divisionally,
as of this, well, yeah, you're pretty far. You are the third worst team in the conference. Excuse me. The only teams that are worse is Carolina and Arizona. So, but listen, you're only 2 games out. You know, the top, the guys that are sitting in the 7th spot is Minnesota. They're 4-4. So you got a chance.
and they just lost Kirk Cousins. So
Yeah, so you're looking at Minnesota. You're looking at everybody is kind of bunched up there. Minnesota and New Orleans are 4-4, and then you look at Tampa, the Rams, Washington. They have 3 wins, and everybody else has 2. So you're not technically out of it yet. You're only 2 games back of a wild card, but the
Yeah.
quarterback situation really kind of fucks things up for you. You know, so.
well, anyway,
The Jets
I wish
are
I
the
could, I
Jets
wish I could
are
say that this was fun, but it was not.
yeah, the Jets
But I'm
just
glad
just
that we ripped
for
off the Band-Aid and got it over with earlier in the season than later.
just for clarity, the Jets are right behind Cleveland for that last wild card spot. So
Mm.
you know, that's where the Jets are in terms of playoff standing. So listen, I think we've droned on enough about Jets Giants. Let's not do this again for another 4 years.
To think that I almost that I wanted this every single year. Not if they're gonna play like the way they played
That
today.
is true.
Man.
That is true. That today was, again, this was the worst game that I think I've ever seen. Period. That's how bad this game was. And yes, we may have won, but I don't feel
Oh, Zach
like
and Robert
they have.
Sala do, so that's okay. They feel they can feel the win for you. Okay.
Listen, I guess a win is a win, right? So you take your wins as you can. So anyway, I think we're gonna call this. I think we've had enough misery for one day, and thank you everyone for joining this cast. If you've gotten here this long, please remember to subscribe, hit that notification button for when new episodes come out, and definitely let us know in the comments. Are we crazy? Did we say something stupid?
Look how sad I
Join
look. Look at my eyes. This is like from crying all day from the heartbreak of this
Just
stupid ass
listen.
game.
Just put in the comments, Gabe, it'll be okay. Just do that. You know what I'm saying? So next week we'll like Gabe said, we're going to be a little late with our podcast. We'll probably release it on Wednesday. Probably on Wednesday, just because we're going to be recording on Tuesday
A
and
little
stuff.
bit of a midweek cast for you guys.
Yeah, but it's all good. Hopefully it's going to be a more positive cast than this one here. So, all right.
Somebody
So from
Eli out of retirement, please.
oh my gosh, yeah.
Please.
Listen, anything, right?
Oh.
We just bring Kurt Warner back for God's sakes, right? So,
Yeah.
all right. Anyway, guys, from everybody here at the Blue versus Green show, go Giants.
Oh no! You're not gonna make me say that. I say go Giants. You say
Let's go.
no. Hell no! Get the hell out of here.
Come
Nope.
on.
Go Giants.
And go Jets.